Chan, chan, chan. Estamos transmitiendo en vivo. Muy bien, muy buenos días a todas y a todos. ¿Cómo están? Yo soy Juan del Cerro. Bienvenidas a Emprender en Pijama. El programa de hoy, no saben lo emocionado que estoy, ya que el día de hoy vamos a tener una súper entrevista con el fundador, uno de los fundadores de Rovio, de la empresa creadora de Angry Birds, la startup más exitosa de Finlandia. Literalmente ahorita están construyendo, ahorita Peter está trabajando ya en proyectos muchísimo más grandes, están construyendo una ciudad completa en Finlandia. Es una entrevista increíble que vamos a tener el día de hoy. Antes de pasar a la entrevista, que ya la tenemos por acá lista, quiero ver quién anda por ahí, quiero ver quién está con nosotros. Cuéntenme, no estoy seguro si me escuchan en el live, pero así que quiero, porque tengo el micrófono conectado de forma distinta, así que quiero ver quién anda por ahí, quién nos anda saludando en Instagram. Ya veo a Sebas, a Alerto, a Tostada de Tinga, les mando muchos saludos, también a y Carolina Gómez. Quiero ver quién anda por ahí conectado con nosotros. Cuéntenos, también en Facebook, ya saben, mándenos, bueno, díganme desde dónde están, desde dónde nos están viendo, y ya saben que el saludo oficial de este programa siempre son los emojis de T-Rex. Aquí a la comunidad emprendedora mía, Neftalí Guzmán ya nos está viendo desde LinkedIn, le mandamos un abrazo. Y Carolina Gómez me dice que me escucha perfecto, muchísimas gracias. Es que ahora tengo el setup un poco diferente. Como pueden ver, ya estoy de regreso en mi casa después de varias semanas. Estoy muy contento de estar de regreso. Tuvimos unas interrupciones con el programa la semana pasada, que por fallas técnicas no podía estar conectado, pero ya volvimos listos para quedarnos. También por ahí Sandra desde Cancún nos manda saludos, buenísimo. ¿Quién más nos está viendo? Por ahí Shanti Nilaya nos está viendo también. Sofía, Carla, Yasmín. Quiero ver quién anda por ahí. Pablito Domens, mira, Pablito, le mando un abrazo enorme a Pablito, que nos está viendo desde LinkedIn, trabajando desde muy temprano. Carla Ahumada, con los T-Rexes, que ya nos manda por ahí, con los dinosaurios, emprendedores de madrugada. Muy bien a todos y a todas. Oigan, pues se está poniendo bueno, ya están llegando a ver por ahí. Recuerden, por favor, ayúdenos, compartan este live, compartan este video para que llegue a más personas, para que lleguemos a más personas. Oigan, pues la entrevista con Peter es un poco larga, dura 1 hora completa. La verdad, pues dije, ya que lo tengo acá, lo voy a aprovechar. Es una entrevista que ya grabamos, porque pues, obviamente las agendas de él son un poco complejas. Entonces ahorita les voy a pasar la entrevista a quienes se están conectando en Instagram. No la vamos a transmitir por Instagram el día de hoy, así que les voy a tener que pedir que se pasen a Facebook, se vayan pasando a Facebook, o se vayan pasando a Facebook, o se vayan pasando a LinkedIn, a YouTube, a los canales de Disruptivo, o a mi LinkedIn personal de Juan del Cerro, para que puedan desde ahí ver la entrevista, ya que por Instagram no la vamos a poder pasar porque es un video que está grabado. Está en inglés, Peter no habla español, y pues no tenemos ahorita mucho presupuesto para subtitularla, al menos así en corto, pero vale mucho la pena. Entonces espero que la disfruten, y pues como está larga ya la voy a pasar, así que Instagram, nos vemos, les mando un abrazo enorme. Si no la pueden ver ahorita, si no se pueden pasar a YouTube, manden un mensajito directo por Instagram y con mucho gusto les mando el link para que la vean. Así que pásense, miren, ya vamos a ponerla por acá para que la vean. Vamos a girar la cámara rápidamente. Ahí está. A ver, vamos a enfocar para que la vean en Instagram, pero bueno, pues en cuanto empecemos la voy a pasar. Así que miren, ya anda por acá. Y pues, queridas y queridos, vámonos a ver la entrevista con Peter Vesterbacka. Esta entrevista, por cierto, se hizo en conjunto con Adelante Américas, un evento genial de emprendimiento en el que nos invitaron a participar. Y bueno, pues ya está por ahí. Vámonos a verla, y pues Instagram, nos vemos en Facebook y nos vemos en YouTube para que puedan ver la entrevista. Hasta luego a todos. Okay, so we are recording now, and I'm very excited to be here today at Sustainability Launch in Adelante Américas. My name is Juan del Cerro, and this is a special edition of my show, Emprender en Pijama, starting you up in your pajamas, becoming an entrepreneur in your pajamas. And it's a very special edition because we're here with Peter, aka the Big Eagle, one of the creators of Rovio Entertainment, the company behind Angry Birds. But not only that, Peter is an amazing entrepreneur, an amazing promoter of entrepreneurship, of the entrepreneurial culture. He's literally right now building cities, building culture, and doing a lot of change. And we're very happy be here, Peter. You are in Finland, so you're not in your pajamas right now, but you are in your hoodie. So we're kind of the same right now.
I was kind of like thinking that should I figure out and get like pajamas with like a hoodie, but I decided to do my standard outfits.
It's your landmark. It's your brand, and I think a lot of us sleep on our hoodies when it's a little bit colder. So I think
true. Yeah.
Awesome.
Actually, I have to then do the hoodie story, because I mean that's one thing. So I also get asked that, okay, like what's the deal, and like red hoodie and what's the big deal. But actually, when I was at Rovio, so I've always been wearing red, so that's kind of like been even before and after Rovio. But the thing with the hoodie was that I went to this business event in Germany, and then I was on a panel, and then I asked people there that, hey, could you please take a picture? And they took a picture. I went back to Espoo, to the Rovio offices, and then I showed a picture to the team and said that, okay, check this out. This is how you differentiate. This is how you stand out. And in the picture, you saw me and then 3 guys wearing kind of like a dark suit, serious business attire, and then 1 guy, me, in a red hoodie, not like Angry Birds branded or anything. And then Juhana Kotilainen, who was the marketing guy at Rovio at the time, ordered red Angry Birds hoodies for everybody that started at Rovio. So kind of like the point there that I wanted to make is that you always have to kind of like do what you teach, and like walking the walk, and what also it was a great way to show that it's when you talk about differentiation, it actually means something, and it's like you can demonstrate it through action. And I think that's something that is very, very important. So there's like a reason for the red hoodie, that it's also kind of like learning by doing. But
I love it. Sorry guys, my dogs went crazy for a minute. We can do it later. Let me just. Okay, sorry.
No problem.
I love this story about the hoodie, and it actually I just started doing this the años or pajama last year. But I completely agree. There's now a million different shows. There's a million different people doing webinars and stuff.
Yes.
And just we started doing this out of fun, but it actually became our signature, our landmark. And everybody now that I have a meeting with, everybody I talk to, they tell me like, I see you all the time wearing your dinosaur pajamas. And I think it accomplishes 2 things, and probably for you the same. First of all, it does make us stand out. And I'm telling this because the team of Adelante Americas, they asked me, we also want to know about you and why are you in your pajamas. So first of all, it makes us stand out, but I think it also breaks a little bit of the barrier, because because especially young people, now we're working with young people in Adelante Americas and also in your other initiatives such as Ambitious Africa. And when you see the entrepreneurs, the investors, in, like you mentioned, in the big suits, all serious, it creates a barrier, because we feel like it's different to reach out. No, when they told me I was interviewing you, it's intimidating, to be honest. But then I see you in your hoodie giving your talks. It's like, okay, Peter, it's a really cool guy, and we can just talk. And he's made mistakes, and I've made mistakes, and I think that this is also, it works for that. It also works to connect better.
Absolutely, and I mean I could share actually hundreds of stories of people that I met because of the red hoodie, and it also worked great, for the Rovio team. So. When everybody was wearing kind of like red hoodie to the events, the Rovio people were very easy to find. And I think that this is, again, very simple like marketing and very simple branding. And I mean, there's hundreds of people that I have met just because of the red hoodie. And it makes you very approachable, and it makes you easy to find. And I mean, that's kind of like really at the core of marketing, that that's what you want to do. You want your product to stand out. You want your product to be easy to find, and in the games business there are hundreds and hundreds of new games hitting the app stores every day, and then you need to make great games, and all of that. But who cares if you make the best game on the planet if nobody knows about it? And I think this is something that, again, that you really need to think about that, and it should be reflected in like your everyday like actions.
I love it. Since we're now talking more about Rovio, about Angry Birds, about your history and your work there, I wanna touch on a couple of points that that I've heard you talk about in other interviews and stuff, because a lot of the people that are watching us and will hear us in this interview are young people that either want to start a business or are just becoming entrepreneurs, or they think that maybe they want to get into it, but there's a lot of fear around it. There's a lot of intimidation. Fear of failure is a reality. So I want to talk about when you guys were starting and some of the stories that were there. Today, everybody knows Angry Birds, and you've mentioned this before. It's one of the fastest growing brands in the planet. I think you mentioned in a talk from years ago, so now it's probably even bigger. That 90% of people in India and China know about it. In Mexico, everybody knows about it. But there was a moment where you were working for HP, and your partners were doing other stuff, that you made the decision to start a game company. Why games? Why did you where the idea came for this? There's a lot of things, a lot of areas where you can start a company, that you can build technology. Why did you guys decide to go into games?
So long story. I mean, I started my kind of career, my working life at the original startup. So the company that Bill and Dave started in their garage in Palo Alto, 1939, before my time. But anyway, and actually I had a chance to meet with both Bill and Dave when they were still around, and they were fantastic entrepreneurs. So they started HP, which big company still around today, but they also started like Silicon Valley. So it wasn't started by Google, Facebook, Twitter, Apple.
Yeah, it goes a long time ago.
Yeah, long time ago. But anyway, and I think that's also like a great example again, that all of these entrepreneurs are people who do things and it's kind of like thing. But then for me, always been interested in games, and also about or only to game developers conference in San Francisco, and I was always looking at games as a massive opportunity. So not only like fun, but also like a big business opportunity.
Yeah.
And then in 2003, I was running something called the HR, and we were working with lots of startups. And then Nokia came up with the first smartphones around that time. I think 2003, we decided that, hey, we will organize a game making competition to make the best mobile multiplayer game. A multiplayer because HP servers, and mobile because the first smartphones were out there and you could create like cool games. And then Niklas, Kim, and Jarno, so they were three young guys, three students at Aalto University. They took part in this competition and they won it. And then after the competition, they came to me and said, Peter, we won the competition, and we're students. What should we do? And then I said that you should do what you love to do. And it was clear that they, not only love playing games, but love making games. So why don't you start a company to, do what you love? So they started Rovio to make games. And of course, if you look back now, 2003, making mobile games, maybe not the best timing, because it was a very different market. I mean, it was dominated by, the phone makers, the operators, the carriers, and super difficult for a startup to kind of like succeed in that space. Fortunately, we're close to Nokia, so that helped. We made a lot of games for Nokia. Actually, we made 51 games over the following 6 years. And one thing there, and I've shared the story many times, that the 50-second game was Angry Birds. So it wasn't the first, second, or third, but it was the 52nd. It doesn't mean that the 51 games before Angry Birds were like total failures. But the whole business ecosystem was different. So even though we made a game called Bounce, or a series of games called Bounce for the Nokia phones, and they were installed on, 200 million plus phones, I think that the company probably made like 30K because it was like a game that we developed for Nokia. So then the iPhone happened.
Sorry to interrupt you there, but before, because I want to go a little bit deeper later on in this part of you have to build the 51st games before you get to the one now that we all know. But before even that, you touched on a couple of points that I want to expand, because I want this to be very practical also for the people listening to us. And I think there were a couple of things very interesting in that happened to you and that you took advantage of. No, you tell us about. You were close to Nokia. You were, you had the opportunity to use the servers. Mobile phones were starting up. So there's all of these things happening outside of you that you took advantage of. But also, you got connected to people and started something together out of passion. So I think it's an interesting combination there that you have to be successful, right? You have to have to build a successful startup. How can we today, how do young people all across America, all across Africa, first of all, learn and see what are those trends, what are those opportunities that are out there? Because it seems like it's a lot of luck to be in the right place at the right time, but I don't think it's luck. I think it's you develop a sense of, okay, so now you were going to the game expos, right? You were going to the events because you were interested in it. How can we know or how can we start to look for, it's not knowing, how can we start to look for those things that could be big opportunities for us that are happening outside of our work?
Yeah. So I think that it's very important to be curious and find out kind of like about new things and just like observe the world around us. And then I think also that why I always share this, that like you should do what you love to do. I mean, we all know that helps. I mean, we learn faster, we do better work if we actually enjoy what we're doing, and if we love what we're doing, then the results can be fantastic. So that is really like the passion and love and all of that. It's super important. But then you're absolutely right about the luck, and I think it's if you look at a thing like Angry Birds or you look at any like success story, it's not good enough to get one thing or two things right. You have to get everything right, and I think that is very difficult to do. And then one more thing is that you have to have a bit of luck also. Always, but I think that this is a little bit, like the saying about, creating your own luck is very much true. It's like when we look at, successful athletes, then, successful athletes are lucky, but then you could say that maybe they are lucky because they train a lot. So it's kind of like a little bit like that with startups and like anything in life that, you can be sure that if you don't take the shot, at goal, like, like look at Mexico and, Latin America football. I mean, everybody understands that if you don't even try to shoot the ball, at the goal, probably you're not going to score. So you have to take like a lot of shots and then eventually you will score. And we shouldn't be afraid, and thinking that, but I'm probably going to miss and the goalie will block it, and so let's not even try. I mean, you can't play football like that, or let's say not in Latin America you can't play like that. Maybe
no, I love it, and you are touching maybe on one of the most important points and messages that we have to give out in this talk, and I love that we're giving it right at the beginning. There's a study that says that 80% of the people in Mexico don't start a company because they are afraid to fail, and that and starting things up and being curious and doing stuff is the first step. You don't have to have a very prepared business plan. You don't have to have you have to start working. You have to start doing stuff around the stuff that you love. I love that you are telling us this because I always talk about this, but I don't have the success that you have. So it's really cool to see that you guys were not thinking about when your partners joined the competition, they were not thinking about creating a multinational company. They didn't have a business plan. They didn't have a lot of money. They just wanted to create games because you guys love the games.
Exactly.
And then it became a company.
No? Yes, exactly. And I think that this is a very important starting point, that you should do things that you love to do. I mean, starting a company to do things that you hate, I can guarantee you that you're not going to be successful. I mean, it's like there's no way, or very difficult to see that. And then why would you do it? But also you shouldn't be afraid of doing it and starting a company and going out there and all that, because I think that you should also ask that, okay, like, what is the worst thing that will happen? Okay, you might fail, but then you can be hired by like a big company and just as well as before. So and I think that also that it's a fantastic learning experience, and I think that again, learning by doing. So of course we all know that the best way to learn how to drive a car is to drive it. I mean, probably you could read a book and all the books about driving cars, but I mean, really? And it's a little bit the same that you can read all the startup books and all the books about entrepreneurship, and yes, you will learn some things, but actually the best way to learn is to do. So when I'm asked that, okay, when should I start a company? Then I said that you should have started yesterday, but today is a good day, and okay, maybe tomorrow, but I mean, why don't you do it now? And I think that also always say that we are very good at thinking too much. I mean, me over-analyzing and just like, and this might happen and that might happen and all of that. But I always say that, don't think, do think. So that, it's very important to not be afraid, have the courage, go out there, do things. And yes, of course, many times when you do new things, you will fail. Okay, it's to learn. Then you fail again, and you fail again, and then you make a 50-second game, and it's like, wow. So I think that that's really kind of important to keep in mind. And also, if you look at like the beginnings of Rovio, that it started as a student project. So I go to many universities, many schools. Like I always try to do that wherever I go, and I always ask the students that, okay. So who's going to create the next Angry Birds? And then I'm always disappointed when only 2 or 3 people raise their hand, because of course, if you don't believe yourself that you will be successful, probably you will not be. It's a little bit like acting a football team. If you think they're going to score like any goals, and say,
no, probably not.
Yeah. So then
No, if you don't think you're going to be successful, you will definitely not be successful.
Exactly.
And I love this because you have to have that mindset. I think that people, and I think I've been saying this for a while now, and I think you are the best person to tell me if I'm right or not, because you have more experience than me in video games. I think people think of success and failure as a linear thing. No, you start a company, and if you fail, it's game over. Like a video game, and you have to start from scratch. And I think it's not like that. I think it's you start a project, maybe it's a business, maybe it's something else, and if you fail, then I think you go to the next level. You don't go back. You can go, because now you have learned some stuff that you apply to your next project, and then if you fail again, so it's it's more like a stair than it is a linear thing. And I think that's represented. For example, you guys did a lot of projects before Angry Birds. Not all of them were failures, but all of them gave you some knowledge of the market, of the consumer, of the technology, of branding. So even if some of those 50 first games were probably failures, some not, some others don't.
Of course,
but everybody each one taught you something that eventually got you to get there.
Yes, and I think that is like everything you do always adds to your like experience, and I think that's I mean it's again the whole learning by doing thing that is so important. And I mean, of course, it's good to kind of like read all the books you can get about the particular like topic subject, but I think that in the end, and especially when we look at now many of the technology businesses, it's typically much cheaper to actually do than to just like build the perfect solution, and then go out and test it. So I think that there is again, it comes back to the fact that entrepreneurs are people who do things. For me, that's like as simple as that.
I love it. I've heard you talk about how you started as a game company, as a video game company. You did all these games. Eventually, you get to Angry Birds, which becomes a success. I hate the word "becomes a success," no, because you build it into a success. It didn't become like one day to the next. It's not an overnight success. No, it grew eventually, and with a lot of patience, a lot of hard work, which I think are two of the main traits that you need to develop as entrepreneurs, as young people, to become successful. And once that happens, the company changes. The company changes to become a branding company. No, and you mentioned it before how Rovio is not any Rovio with Angry Birds, obviously, is not a video game company anymore, but now it's a company that makes them question how is our audience, how are our customers going to love our brand, our characters. No, and now, you have merchandising. I wanted to buy a plush toy for today, but they didn't deliver it on time, so I'm very sad about that. I don't have my Angry Bird with me here. But you have merchandising, you have movies, you have you wanted to get to become the first brand to get to 1 billion fans in YouTube, because you have all this content. What do we have to, when we're starting and when our products have not been as successful as Angry Birds, how can we start to build a relationship with our consumers, with our customers? Because I think also in the beginning, that's going to be a make it or break it situation, right? If the people that we start reaching out, even if it's one fan, if we build a relationship with them, then that will help us build a stronger company in the future. How do you guys how do you do it? It's a very long question.
Actually, one or two tips. I have a brand new story that I actually shared this week. So I was first trip now in over a year. I went to Uzbekistan last week, and then I'm pretty active on Twitter and social media, so I was sharing a lot of pictures and from the meetings with the education minister and various governors and universities and all of that. And then got contacted on Twitter by local person, Anna, and then she was just saying that, hey, huge fan, and is there any chance that I'm in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, and she's actually born and raised in Tashkent in Uzbekistan, so the capital. That is there any chance that we could meet? And I said, yeah, I think that we can. I'm here right now, and I share my location and all of that. And then she comes there to the education ministry in Tashkent, because we had our meeting there. And she's a 20-year-old girl from Uzbekistan. And then she shares her story with me in Finnish language. And she says that when she was 12, she downloaded Angry Birds. That's now 8 years ago. At that time, I was doing all the social media because we're a small company, so I was on Twitter and all of that. And actually, it turns out that I was communicating with her when she was 12. And then she got actually huge fan of Angry Birds, and she wanted to become a game developer. So she started drawing, pictures and designs. And she actually got a job then at wargaming in Uzbekistan. And she decided to learn the Finnish language. So she learned Finnish in the last 2 years online on the internet herself. And I was the first Finnish person ever that she met and talked Finnish to. And I could understand her perfectly. Her Finnish is very good. And it was amazing. And then, it reminded me that, hey, she was 12 when she downloaded Angry Birds. Okay, I exchanged some tweets with her back then, and just giving her some advice. And I also told her that this Kajaani University of Applied Sciences in Finland, they have a fantastic game education program. That's what I recommend for her. And now, after I met her, actually this week, a couple of days ago, I connected her with the president of the Kajaani University of Applied Sciences. So most likely she will get, to study game making here in Finland. And I think that this is, how you create a connection with your fans, that you have to take all of your fans seriously, no matter if they're a 12-year-old girl from Tashkent, Uzbekistan that you never heard of, or, anybody. And I think that this is what I always share, that you have to always think about the fan experience. And, you know, we talked about being approachable. I always try to be very, very approachable to everybody, you know, and this is like an example of that. And I also, you know, love the fact that, you know, the dedication, the commitment that here you have, you know, a 12-year-old girl, now 20, she decides to learn Finnish language, which of course is an easy language to learn. But anyway, it's like amazing commitment. And then, you know, so you never know what things will lead to. I'm talking about, you know, Twitter and all that. I mean, we at Rovio decided to do Angry Birds space because one day I got a tweet from NASA saying that, hey, if you ever find pigs in space, we can help. And then I walked over to the coffee machine. Petri Järvilehto was running the game studio, and told him that, hey, I just got this tweet from NASA that they could help us with pigs in space. We have to do something. And then we decided right there and then at the coffee machine that, okay, let's build Angry Birds space, which we then launched with NASA on the International Space Station, first game ever to be launched in space. And, you know, the rest is history. So I think that you have to take all of these, no matter if it's a 12-year-old girl from Tashkent in Uzbekistan, or if it's NASA. You have to treat everybody, you know, well.
I love this because it talks about also that you guys were building you're still building relationships, and you were not only trying to sell, because you were back then 8 years ago a video game company. You wanted people to play your game, and this girl. Like you were talking with this girl and you were giving advice on how to become a developer, and you were telling her about universities. You were not just telling her, download my game, play more. Yeah. You were building a relationship. And I think that's something very, very interesting. First, because I think it works on it talks about two levels. No, it first talks about that kind of relationships and being very serious about your fans and every customer, especially the first ones. No, the first one we have will teach you so much about your business, will teach you so much about your ideas and the projects. Some of them might even change them for completely, no, because you may have an idea, but not until the consumer decides to pay for it or not, or tells you what they love about it or what they hate about it. It doesn't really become a product. But also it talks about thinking long term, because building relationships, aside from getting more customers, it's about thinking long term, and you guys have proved this. You guys have thought about a lot of companies, a lot of video game companies that have not had the success that you guys have, especially for mobiles. They just want to build like really fast games and get into the next one and the next one and the next one. Angry Birds has been out for 10 years.
Over 10 years. It came 11th of December 2009, so it's like 12 years.
12 years now, almost 12 years. So and now it's become so many other things, so much more than other things. Probably there's a lot of people that don't even know it's a game, no, and know it because of all the other things that you built. And it talks about thinking long term, and I think that's something that we have to talk to young people right now, because it's very discouraging if you want to start a business and you're an entrepreneur thinking, I'm not going to be able to make a lot of money from this at the beginning. You know, I want to start making money. I want to start, you know, I need to pay my rent. I need to pay my student loans. My dad, my mom are telling me my parents are telling me to get a job because that will get a paycheck. So if you want to start a business, one key thing is to think long term. Do you have like I don't know, like a tip or recommendation to build this mindset, to have, like, how clear were you guys on a long-term vision when you started? Now, for example, you are working in your back. We can see an image of this amazing project you're investing in, which is a very long-term project. How do you get into that mindset of building a vision of what you want? Because we already talk about passion, no, about working on stuff you love, but also from passion you need vision on where you want to get to. How do you build that?
Yeah, but I think that that's very important, and I think that it's also kind of like about I mean, also a big part of that is leadership. But I mean, what I always say that if you don't know where you are going, you're not going to get there, which is like obvious. But I think that it's amazing how many companies have no clue about like where they want to go. I think that it's again, like if you ask the employees, like, okay, what do you do here, at the company, and then you will get 100 different answers, and I think that then of course it most likely will not be very successful because you don't know where you want to go. And I think that and also one thing that maybe comes also with experience, but for me it's always been very clear that sometimes it can take many years. But like you have to believe that okay, there will be success, there will be results, and maybe it's not in 1 year, 2 years, maybe it takes 10 years. But you have to have the patience to kind of like then pursue your like dream, pursue your vision, and also like then doing that for like a sustained like period of time. And I think that is also about or a key part of entrepreneurship, that you can't give up like first setback that you have, but you just have to keep going. And so then we also come to this like about the leadership, that I think that it's very important that you communicate, and then you communicate and even more, so that you have to repeat and repeat and repeat what it's all about, where you want to go together. And if you don't share that, then how will people know? And it might feel very annoying to you, that, oh, I have said this 1,000,000 times. But okay, you only said it 1,000,000 times. You need to say it, 1,000,001, and then keep going. So I think that is really so important. And that's always kind of like how I've been building things, that building it around a strong brand, and the brand for me, it's not just like some visual kind of like representation of like what you're doing, but it's kind of like the whole thing. It's the brand, the story, everything. That is, and if you take Angry Birds, I mean, it's a brand that when you first hear Angry Birds, you will ask why, and then why are the birds angry? When you ask that question, the brand will be stuck in your head forever.
Yeah,
so that's like how good branding works. And then we had some very simple metrics, like in the beginning, that okay, we're going to have $100 million, which everybody back in the day thought that, hey, it's impossible. But then once we hit that goal, everything became easy, because that was kind of like what we do at Rovio. 100 million, new game, 100 million, new game, 100 million. So it kind of like became part of like what we do. Or another thing that started together with a few friends in 2008, because we need to get more entrepreneurial thinking going here in the finest Bay Area. So we started Slush. Everybody else was doing this, what I would call like wannabe Silicon Valley events, and everybody wants to be Silicon Valley of this, Silicon Valley of that. I mean, you go to Tokyo and they will tell you that they will become like the Silicon Valley of Asia, and in Beijing they will tell you that, hey, Silicon Valley of China. And I just actually finished a call about this with the EU, people in Brussels about like what we need to do in Europe. And then I said that, hey, Silicon Valley, fantastic place. I started my working life there, but it's already there. You can't lead by following. You can't copy your way into leadership. So with Slush, we decided that we're going to organize it in November. So when you come to Finland in November, it's cold, dark, slush on the ground. So it's not the Silicon Valley. It's better.
Let me just explain, because we don't have a slush in Latin America. So let me just explain the concept, because I think it's very cool what you've built from a concept like that. Slush is basically, what snow becomes when it falls to the ground. It's dirty, it's wet, it's slippery. It's not a
positive thing.
It's not something cool. Something you say, oh, I'm so happy there's a slush now all around the city. And so you took that concept of something different and you made it a huge event. And now, and I want obviously for you to finish telling us the story of the event, but more so than the event, it became a cultural phenomenon, and then it changed the entrepreneurial culture in your country. Sorry, I interrupted you. You were telling about when you started building Slush, and you wanted to make something different.
Yeah, with the Slush thing, that everybody else wants to be Silicon Valley of this and that. So we decided that actually what we're going to do is that we're going to be better. So, the cold, the dark, slush on the ground, not the Silicon Valley, better and better because it's different. And why is Slush different? Oh, actually, we started the event to change the mindset. So like in 2007, I gave a talk to 600 students at Aalto University about entrepreneurship. And then I asked, okay, so how many of you guys are going to start a startup, or join a startup once you graduate or even before? And only 3 out of 600 raised their hand. Complete disaster. I mean, everybody just wanted to work for a big company like Nokia or Wärtsilä or Kone or, one of these guys. And we had to do something. So then together with a few friends, we started Slush to change the mindset. And Slush then has become the biggest and best startup event on the planet. So November every year in Helsinki. And it's much bigger than anything in Silicon Valley or anything in China, when it comes to startups. And again, why not? We decided to make that so. But the main thing is that 5 years after starting Slush, I went back to Aalto and I gave the same talk, asked the same question, how many will, start a company, join a startup? And more than half the hands went up. So we totally changed the mindset and attitude around entrepreneurship. And when I say we, actually we meaning the local, like young people, they are building it, they are doing it. So we had 20,000 people from 160 countries like last Slush, and it was built by 2,600 young people who were there, not because somebody told them to be there, but because they want to be there, because they love to be there. So they are volunteering and they are building Slush. So it's again a learning by doing thing, and that is also like what I'm doing now with this finest Bay Area that you can see in the background. We are creating an area here with the highest talent density on the planet, and we already have the highest number of unicorns per capita. So we are much more successful if you use that metric than China, than Silicon Valley, than anybody. And I think that is kind of like a bit, of the thinking now with, Adelante Americas, Ambitious Africa, is to take that kind of mindset, that kind of approach, and now working across Latin America, bring the people, here in Finland, in Nordic countries, together with the
Peter, hi, sorry, I'm having a little bit trouble with the connection.
Okay. Yeah, your video froze.
There you go. Okay.
Now it's back. Yeah.
Can you see me now?
Yes. No, it's fine.
Sorry, I'm having a little bit trouble with my internet connection. Let me see. I think it works.
Yeah.
Okay. So if it breaks up again, don't despair or don't you go. I'll change my cable.
Yeah, don't worry. Don't worry. Yeah.
Perfect. So we'll.
But anyway, so the story of Slush is such that we want to change the mindset, and we did.
And I've heard this story. You've told this story. Probably a lot of the people who are they probably haven't heard it, which is really cool. But I want to ask you what happened. Like why did the Slush? Like what were the elements in the culture that changed between going from 3 students wanting to be entrepreneurs to more than half of the students want to be entrepreneurs?
Yeah.
But I want to tell this as a transition into going to your work now into Ambitious Africa and Adelante Americas. So I have to tell you, I really admire what you've done as an entrepreneur with Rovio and everything. But I'm a fan, and I'm a crazy fan of what you've done since you left. No, because you left the company. Well, you left the company. You stopped working there, but you're part of the company. To build more stuff, to build more cultural changing stuff. Like these 2 projects, like Ambitious Africa and Adelante America, which are giving entertainment, education, and entrepreneurship to young people in other regions of the world. You also have a project in Asia as well, Aspiring Asia, I think it's called. So you're not now bringing everything that you've learned from this experience in Rovio, this experience with Slush, to all these other countries and places in the world. So before we talk about those projects, and we'll get to them right now, but what were those elements that changed the culture, that sparked those changes between 3 and over 300 students at a time?
Yes. So I think that if you look at like Slush and the success there, I mean, the first Slush event, we had about 300 people show up, and then we asked, local entrepreneurs, local founders share their entrepreneurial journey. And the point was really to kind of like show that, hey, there are other crazy people, out there who are doing these kind of things. So it's again to create role models, and it's always like, Ilkka Paananen, who started Supercell, and I met Ilkka, when he was running a company called Sumea, then Digital Chocolate and all of that. And, Ilkka many times said that, okay, they looked at Rovio, and then, if those guys at Rovio can do that, so can we. And then they did that. They went out, built Supercell, and became much, much more successful than Rovio ever was. And they had a 10 billion exit to Tencent. So again, I think that's what it's all about, that you see that other people are, doing crazy things, in this case, like being entrepreneurs. And I think that this is something that is very, very important, that you see that other people are doing the same, that you are not, only one. And actually, at the first Slush, there was a local entrepreneur that after the event came up to me and said that, hey, wow, that we had a room full, 300 people, crazy entrepreneurs. And he had just moved back to Finland from the UK after, getting exit from one of his startups. And then he said that he was almost, about to leave the country because he thought that he was like the only crazy one, that there's no entrepreneurs, startup entrepreneurs here. But then he came to Slush and said, hey, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to start another company. And he did. And I think that that's kind of like on a micro level how it works, that you need to have role models. I mean, it's a little bit like, if nobody in your family ever went to university, then you don't, like, oh, I can't go because, hey, nobody in my family has ever gone there. So, it's like, true. Can't be done. But then you start looking, young people see that, oh, these guys have a startup and they seem to be okay and they're enjoying life and they're making stuff happen. I want to do that as well. And I think that it's almost nowadays here in Finland and this kind of like finest Bay Area, Finland, Estonia, Sweden, that it used to be back in the day that everybody wanted to have like a band and be an artist or something. But now, hey, I want to, become like Daniel Ek, who started Spotify, or Ilkka with Supercell. So those are the rock stars of, like the current generation. And young people now want to be entrepreneurs. And actually, it's not only that young people want to be entrepreneurs. I mean, we get them to kind of like Ambitious Africa and Adelante Americas and all that what entrepreneurs want to do, and I think what young people want to do, is to change the world. And it's a little bit of a cliche, but if you ask any entrepreneurs, like, okay, why are you doing this? And I always say that, yeah, because I want to change the world. And I think that is really the motivation, that you want to change the world, you want to make the world a better place. And I think now, if you talk with young people, I mean, it is about saving the planet. It's about creating sustainable solutions to the big problems out there. I mean, we all know about like climate change, and we need to kind of like take all of these things like seriously. And I think that then the best way to change the world, the most efficient way to change the world, is through entrepreneurship. But then, in order to know what to do and how to be an entrepreneur, of course, you need to have a foundation in strong education. So that's why we talk always about education, entrepreneurship, and entertainment. Entertainment because it should be fun. Mm-hmm. And another reason for that is also that we are always, like even now, the two of us here talking, we're competing for the attention, for people's time. And, rather than watch us here, they might, like boot up a game on their phone, or they, let's check what's on Netflix tonight. And so we have to make sure that when we deliver these things, we are delivering them in a form where people want to be part of it. They want to, join the movement, make that change happen. And then they'll forget about playing that game or checking out the latest hit on Netflix. So it's very, very important. And I mean, also, like, I think your show is a great example of that. That, we could sit here and look very boring and stiff and, very corporate and talk about this is serious business.
Yeah. Changing the world, all the problems that exist.
Yes, exactly. But I mean, like, again, it should be fun.
You have to enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love this approach, and I really want to thank you for what you guys are doing with Adelante Americas and Ambitious Africa and Aspiring Asia. In Disruptivo, we are going to be joining as partners. We've already joined as partners, and we'll be doing a lot of work. So for the people watching us, the young people in America, hopefully somebody from other countries. Well, we have audience in Emprender Pijama from all around.
Yeah.
Why you mentioned a very strong phrase, a very strong sentence there, and I wanna question it, not because I believe it, not because I don't believe it, I obviously do, but because I want to know what's behind it in your. You mentioned entrepreneurship is the best way to change the world.
Yes.
Becoming an entrepreneur changes the world. A lot of people in developing countries like the ones I live in, like Mexico, like Latin America, where we have a lot of issues. We have poverty, we have corruption, we have violence, we have a lot of, it's still the how do I say it, the most popular way to become a professional, to have a steady income, to have a good life, is to work at a company or to work for the government, kind of to lower your head, to lower a little bit your aspirations and do your work and go back home. Why should we change that stability to become entrepreneurs? Like, and why is it so important? Why will it change the world? And why can't? It's not that we can't change the world in the government or in other places, but why is it a better way to change the world in entrepreneurship than all other options that probably a lot of people are looking for today?
Yeah, but entrepreneurship for me, it's again doing things. And we need more entrepreneurial mindset in government, in the big companies, everywhere. So it's just like, that's why I think that it's safe to say that, like doing things, that's like the best way to change the world, and not doing things guaranteed not to change anything. So I think that's like the starting point. But then it's also very clear, and this is also like, it's like a rule of nature that young people are the future. I mean, that's just like the way it works. Okay, so if you want to kind of like have a better future, we need to invest in our young people. And I always say that it's the job of us, slightly older people, to make sure that we keep the old people and the governments out of the way while the young people change the world. So we need to remove the obstacles. We need to empower the young people to actually go out there and make this happen. And with Adelante Americas, I mean, the idea then is that, I've heard that you have some problems and some challenges in Mexico. I heard about like, not...
Yeah, maybe one or two.
Yeah,
one or two issues.
Not a perfect educational system. And then there's like some problems with various like not so nice people and, many things. So then, if you ask young people, very quickly you will get, like, I'll ask, okay, what is the biggest problem? And then, education, or, like corruption, or, long list of like many things. And they feel like we will never be able to solve this. And actually, you cannot solve it, one person. But if we have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands young people working together, of course, we can make any country amazing, and we can fix these things. And I think that is, like with Adelante Americas and all that, hey, let's start looking at then, okay, if we have a challenge, on the educational side, what do we need to fix it? Do we need to have better teachers? Okay, let's work on the teacher education, okay, we need more entrepreneurs. Okay, how do we fix that? Okay, Slush seemed to be like a good tool in Finland and in finest Bay Area and like all of that. So why don't we kind of like see if we could do something similar in Mexico? And so on and so on. So it's really, and then bringing people together from Finland, from Nordic countries, from Europe, with Mexico, with Latin America, and I think that my experience is that when you do that and you create an environment where young people can work together, and you also focus on removing the obstacles, so I'm basically like getting the government and the older people out of the way, then you can make anything happen. But it's again the thing that you need to have the role models, you need to empower people, and you have to show that it's possible. And I think that is what Adelante Americas is all about. That's what we want to do, and we want to work on the really big, really challenging problems together, and then we apply this triple E model. So yes, education, yes, entrepreneurship, and hey, entertainment is like like this show, serious like discussion, serious issues, but we do it in a fun way, because why not?
That's awesome, and I have this phrase here. It's in Spanish. It's tattooed, and it's on the other. I record the interviews on two sides of my house, and on the other wall, I have a phrase, the same phrase here, that says, "The world is not going to change by itself. The world is not going to change on its own." But I think that you mentioned a very important part. Like nobody on its own is going to change it either. We have to. Everybody has to do something, and a message that I want to send out to the people watching us, especially the community of Adelante Americas, is you don't have, not all of us will build huge global projects and global startups. We should aim for that. Yes. But even if you change the life of one person with your project, with your business, that is changing the world, because the world is now different from what it was before, even if it's for one person. And the collection of a lot of those experiences is what actually makes a change. You are very generous with your time. We've almost running in the hour. I don't want to go beyond the hour. So I just have one, maybe two questions for you. Yeah. And I want to connect on what the last part that you were mentioning, that we should do it. We should make it fun. We already said why social change and sustainability should be fun, because that way we'll attract people's attention from all the other entertaining things, but also from the problems that are happening. You are a master of entertainment, that you guys have built an amazing, maybe the biggest platform in the last 10 years of entertainment and fun. And normally, when we're talking about sustainability, we're going to talk about climate change, we're going to talk about stuff like poverty, like gender inequality, like violence. Those are big problems that affect a lot of people, and the speech, the way we talk about this becomes very serious and becomes very negative, and I think that alienates a lot of people, because people already have their own problems, and people don't want to, How can we make our projects, our entrepreneurs, our endeavors fun, while also creating impact? Like I would love to get a few tips or a few things that you learned that we can apply to our things to make it fun, to actually entertain, because entertainment is one of the core pillars of the work of Adelante Americas, but it's easier said than done, right? So what can you say, a practical thing that we can have in our heads? Okay, so now I'm going to remember from Peter that to make my project more entertaining, more fun, and so it can have a lot of more engagement, I always have to have this in my mind.
Yeah, but I think that it's again, you have to kind of like start with this, that there are very few things out there that like actually are impossible. So everything is possible, and then like you could start with, okay, so let's say that we have a problem with corruption. Okay, fine. So that sounds like a pretty big problem, and let's fix it. And I was actually talking to our ambitious Africa team in Zimbabwe, and I asked them that, okay, what is the biggest problem here in Zimbabwe? Corruption. So I said, okay, fine, let's like fix that. And they started laughing, and I said, okay, very good, because when you are laughing, then I know that we have set the ambition like right, and then it's our job to stop the laughter. So we can apply the same here. Then we start looking, okay, so what can we do? And then I say, okay, fine, let's like look at very concrete. We need to digitalize everything so we can track all the transactions and everything. I can call the Tax Finland people, and they've done a lot of that. So let's invite them and have them talk to the right people like here in Zimbabwe, and then we can like get it sorted. So next question, and and of course it's not as simple as that. That okay, we call in two people and all that, but the thing is that you have to start somewhere, and then if you need some help from the president, the prime minister, why don't you give him or her a call? And then it's like, oh, but I can't do that. So why not? I'm sure you can. And like it's again that we shouldn't limit our own like ability.
Yeah, we shouldn't be the ones who stop ourselves.
Yeah,
most of the times that's our biggest enemy. We don't believe we can make it. We say no before we even try.
Exactly. So so I think that it's again, and then it's also when you want to eat an elephant, it kind of like makes sense to eat it, one piece at a time.
I love that.
So, so then you start, splitting this huge challenge into smaller pieces, and then, hey, wow, this is like not so difficult. I mean, we need to do this, and I think that again we come back to this, that it's about doing. So you just have to go out there on the pitch, in the football game, and you have to kind of like go and score a few goals. And you will not score those goals, first of all, if you don't go there, to play. And then when you play, if you don't take the shots. I mean, 100% sure that you will miss the shots that you don't take.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like as simple as that. And it's not always easy, but who cares about doing easy things? I mean, that's also like anybody can do easy. So let's focus on difficult things. And let's do difficult stuff first. Easy will follow.
I love that. I always try to give a challenge for people who are in this position, who want to start something out and are, worried or are doubting. And I always tell them, do something before the end of the week. Like that's the challenge, whatever it is. Yesterday, 2 days ago, we gave a talk on LinkedIn, and I told them, before the end of the week, do something. And one person messaged me the day after and said, after I heard you, I went and I created my LinkedIn's company page. That's something, like even something as simple as that. It's something because it gets you on a track. It gets you it gets the momentum started. And you'll start with small things, and you'll eventually get to these big things that you are saying.
Totally.
Peter, I love this, and I love to finish with this, to be super practical about how to start getting things done. I would love to simply open the mic and say, before we finish, for the people watching us in different countries, do you have one more thing that you would like to tell them? You've already told us to start. Just do something to get started. Yeah. We've learned a lot. Is there any other thing that we should take out from you, from your experience, that will help us build this more sustainable world all together?
I think that already said, like the key things there, that like you should go out there and like do it, and then do things that you love to do. So if you combine the doing and doing what you love, I think that then you can't fail.
Awesome. I love it. And if you do fail, then you learn and you keep doing it, and you grow, and like we said before, and you connect with a lot of people. Amazing. Peter, thank you so much for your time. Having somebody like you for an hour, it's really a treat. It's amazing. You build amazing stuff, and I think, if you don't mind me saying it, that we haven't seen the best from you, which is also so inspiring, also so cool. The impact of Adelante Americas, of Ambitious Africa, of all these youth initiatives are going to surpass the impact of Angry Birds
of course,
in the billions. So I want to thank you for your time, not only in this interview, for your time spent and for your energy and everything that you're doing for young people, for entrepreneurship, education, and entertainment. I wanna finish off inviting everybody that is watching us to join Adelante Americas, or if you're in other parts of the country or of the world, join the initiatives that are in your locality. Ambitious Africa, Aspiring Asia. Join them. Follow them on social media. They're starting to do a lot of amazing projects. Even now in the pandemic, they are helping entrepreneurs who are starting right now. It's not an excuse to be in a pandemic not to start something. So join them, and you'll find mentors, amazing mentors like Peter and a lot of other people around the globe helping us, because we're here for you guys. We're here for the youth, because like Peter said, you're the future, but you have to start taking action in the present to build that future. Peter, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody. And we are off. We're finishing this recording. Goodbye. Hola a todos, hola a todas, ¿cómo están? Oigan, pues ya se terminó la entrevista con Peter Vesterbacka. Espero que les haya gustado. ¿Cómo se llama? A mí la verdad me encantó tener la oportunidad de platicar con él, de conocerlo, de aprender de él. Me llevo muchísimos aprendizajes. Veo que hubo varios mensajitos por acá mientras estábamos en la entrevista, varias personas siguen conectadas. Pero bueno, pues ya nos alargamos bastante, entonces hasta acá la dejamos. Muchísimas gracias. Compartan, por favor, esta entrevista. Compartan la que llegue a muchísimas más personas. Díganme quién sigue por ahí, quién la vio completa. Mándenme sus emojis de T-Rex. Veo que en LinkedIn hay varias personas conectadas, en Facebook también. Así que díganme quiénes andan por ahí. Les mandamos un enorme abrazo. Espero que les haya gustado muchísimo. Los que siguen por ahí, mándenme sus T-Rex para despedirme de ustedes antes de irme. Muchísimas gracias. Y pues ya saben que nos vemos el próximo jueves. El próximo jueves, igualmente a las 8 de la mañana, aquí en Emprender en Pijama. Ahí sí vamos a tener una entrevista en español, en vivo. Así que se va a poner muy buena. Dice por acá Carla Ahumada, está conectada viéndonos todavía. Muy bien, Carlita, te mandamos un enorme abrazo. Qué bueno que te pareció enriquecedora esta charla. Pues muchísimas gracias a todos, les mando un abrazo y nos vemos el jueves acá en Emprender en Pijama. Hasta luego, Carlita González, ya te vi también por ahí. Muy bien, abrazo a todos. Mira, ya están llegando los mensajes. Paul Polencio, la quiere ver nuevamente, se queda grabada en YouTube, Paul, se queda grabada en LinkedIn, entonces entran a los canales de Disruptivo o a mis canales personales de Juan del Cerro. Ahí está también Ariquita Pineda, Pablito Mench también se la echó toda completa. Muy bien, qué bueno, qué gusto. Pues estimadas, qué bueno que estuvieron por acá con nosotros. Espero les haya gustado y espero les haya parecido muy interesante. Nos vemos el jueves 8 de la mañana. Hasta luego.